If you're used to watching American football, or just want to learn more about rugby, this video will give you some of the basic knowledge you need to understand the game. Rugby is played by 15 players on a field, or pitch, 100 meters, about 110 yards long, and 70 meters, about 80 yards wide. The end zones, or end goals, are usually 22 meters long. In rugby, the goal is to score a try, which is similar to a touchdown. A try is scored when a player touches the ball to the ground inside of his opponent's end goal. A try is worth 5 points, and its conversion, similar to an extra point in American football, is worth 2. Players may also score a drop goal, similar to a field goal, by drop kicking the ball over the crossbar and between the posts of their opponent's goal. A drop goal is worth 3 points. Like in American football, after a score and to begin both halves, there is a kickoff. The ball is drop kicked from the halfway line and must go at least 10 meters. Once it does, it's anyone's ball. Unlike American football, when a rugby player is tackled, the game does not stop. The tackled player must immediately let go of the ball and place it on the ground. Both teams then have a chance to gain possession of the ball. Players from both teams attempt to step over the ball and push the opposing players away. This allows players not engaged in the contest to reach for the ball and pass it to their teammates. This contest is called a ruck. Players pushing in the ruck may not touch the ball with their hands. Players not engaged in the ruck must wait behind the last feet of the rucking players. Once the ball is out of the ruck, the ball is live, and players may make a play on the ball from any point on the field. Rugby has two basic ways of moving the ball between players: passing and kicking. In rugby, players may only pass the ball backwards. If a player throws or fumbles the ball forward, known as a knock-on, the opposing team is awarded possession of the ball. Blocked or charged down kicks are not considered knock-ons. When a player throws a forward pass or knocks on, the opposing team is awarded a put-in to a scrum. The scrum is a contest of strength and technique, where players bind tightly together and push against the opposing team's pack. The ball is rolled or put in between the packs, and each team attempts to push the opposing team back and rake the ball backwards towards their side with their feet. The ball may be kicked forward at any time during play. To be eligible to participate in the ensuing play, or to be onside, players must be behind the kicker when he kicks the ball, or must wait for the kicker to run in front of them. When a player carries or propels the ball out of bounds or into touch, their team loses possession, and the opposing team is awarded the throw-in to a line-out. In a line-out, opposing players line up 1 meter apart from each other at the point the ball went into touch. The ball is thrown straight down the middle of these two lines, and both teams lift their jumpers into the air in an attempt to get possession of the ball. Just like American football, rugby has special rules concerning when the ball is downed inside or goes through the end goal. When the ball is kicked into the end goal and is downed by a receiving player, or goes across the dead ball line at the back of the end goal, similar to a touchback in American football, the receiving team is awarded a 22-meter dropout. During a 22 dropout, the ball is drop-kicked from anywhere behind the line 22 meters from the goal line, or try line. Unlike a kickoff, the ball does not need to go 10 meters before being touched. The ball may be drop-kicked just across the line and picked up by the kicking team. When the ball is brought by a team into their own end goal and becomes dead, similar to a safety in American football, the opposing team is awarded a scrum 5 meters from the try line. In rugby, illegal actions are known as penalties. A penalty or knock-on in rugby does not immediately stop the game. If the referee determines that the team that would be awarded the penalty would benefit from the game continuing or playing on, he will wait to stop play until it becomes clear if an advantage is gained or not. If an advantage is gained, the referee will call advantage over and the game will continue. If no advantage is gained, the referee will stop play and bring the penalty back to the spot of the foul. Most penalties are taken as either penalty kicks or penalty goals. Both penalty kicks and penalty goals are taken from the spot of the penalty. A penalty kick is taken as a free punt. If the ball is kicked into touch on a penalty kick, the team that kicked it gets the throw in to the lineout. A penalty goal is an attempt to kick the ball from the ground or a small tee into the opponent's goal. A penalty goal is worth 3 points. There are many rules in rugby not covered in this video. Don't feel overwhelmed. After a little bit of exposure to the game, the rules will come together and you'll be able to enjoy the game for what it is.
Rugby is an invasion and evasion game. Once possession has been gained, the objective is to move the ball forward by carrying or kicking into opposition territory and ultimately score points. The most effective way of moving the ball forward is for the ball carrier to avoid contact by running into space or passing to a teammate who is in space. Contact is, however, inevitable at some point in open play. Using the correct techniques can help retain possession, continue the attack, and minimize the chance of injury. Look to evade the defender first. Aim for the space around the defender, not the defender's body. If held by an opponent but not brought to the ground, look for arriving support and offload to a teammate if possible. If brought to the ground and held by an opponent, try to pass to support on landing. A tackle is used by the defending team to stop the attacking team moving forward and is an opportunity for the defending team to contest for possession of the ball. Competence in tackling and taking a tackle is critical in developing a safer and more enjoyable game. Recent studies from Australia and the UK have shown that 58% of injuries result from tackle situations, so it's essential that this aspect of the game must be performed, coached and refereed with due care and attention, with good technique and safe, appropriate practice paramount. This will enable players to become confident and competent in the tackle. The key points for players in every tackle situation are, for the tackler, track the movement of the ball carrier and get the feet close enough to make the tackle. Prepare for contact. Adopt a body position that is strong, stable and low. Keeping the eyes open, position the head behind or to one side of the ball carrier. Never position the head in front of the ball carrier. Release the tackled player, get back to your feet immediately and contest for possession. And for the ball carrier, carry the ball in both hands. Protect the ball. Hold it tight to your chest with elbows into your sides. Turn towards your team and pass, place or present the ball. Get back to your feet as soon as possible. Unless the ball carrier is held after being brought to the ground, then in law, a tackle has not been made and the referee will allow open play to continue. Nearly half of all tackles involve more than one tackler. The double tackle is rarely planned and is difficult to coach. It is not encouraged, particularly among young players. All arriving players must enter the tackle area through the gate, as shown here. Referees should check that the tackle is made below the shoulder line. The tackler uses their arms to grab and hold the ball carrier. If the ball carrier is lifted off the ground, ensure they are brought back to ground safely. The tackler releases the tackled player immediately and gets to feet. The tackled player passes, places, or releases the ball immediately. Both players get to their feet. Arriving players enter the tackle zone through the correct gate. Arriving players remain on their feet. Watch for players who charge or obstruct opponents who are not near the ball. Dangerous tackles, in your judgment as the referee, and high tackles, as defined in law. Dangerous and high tackles must not be tolerated and must be sanctioned. Any tackles which make contact with the neck or head should be dealt with strictly. The ruck is a phase of play where one or more players from each team who are on their feet in physical contact close around the ball on the ground. A ruck typically evolves from a tackle situation and can develop into an effective method of retaining or contesting possession. A ruck can commit defenders, therefore creating an opportunity to create space. On formation of the ruck, offside lines are created. After the tackle, the ball carrier should present the ball quickly, with both hands, as far away from the opposition as possible. Arriving players should adopt a strong, stable body position, with head and shoulders above hips at all times, and make contact with shoulders, not the head. Join the ruck from behind the foot of the hindmost teammate in the ruck. This represents the offside line. Support players must bind onto teammates and drive over and, if appropriate, past the ball. The maul begins when a player carrying the ball is held by one or more opponents, and one or more of the ball carrier's teammates bind on the ball carrier. A maul therefore consists, when it begins, of at least 3 players, all on their feet. A maul typically evolves from a contact situation where a ball carrier is held by an opponent but is not brought to the ground. It can develop into an effective method of retaining or contesting possession. A maul can be a dynamic attacking platform, which commits defenders and therefore creates space to play. On formation of the maul, offside lines are created. Maintain forward momentum and make the ball available to your teammates. First arriving support player attempt to secure possession by ripping the ball free or driving beyond the ball. Subsequent support. Second and third arriving players bind onto the ball carrier and maintain forward momentum. Heads and shoulders should be no lower than hips and all players must be bound. Drive forward in a balanced formation. The The scrum is a restart of the game that takes place after a minor infringement, such as a forward pass. It is a physical contest for possession, and therefore, as with any contact, safety must be a prime consideration. Players, coaches and referees all have a responsibility to ensure the scrum is fair, competitive and safe. It is imperative that all players understand the correct techniques for their position and collaborate with their opponent to stay on their feet. Before the match, all referees should speak to front row forwards and scrum halves to explain the sequence of the engagement process.
Right, boys, with the scrum halves? Yeah. Okay, fine. Right in the front row, okay, you all know the scrummage engagement, okay? It's crouch, touch, pause, engage. On the crouch, I'm going to see you in the fully crouched position, okay? Once you're fully crouched then, gents, then we come to the touch. Props, I'm going to see a touch of the shoulder, then I want to see you remove it, okay? This is for safety, to make sure the scrums aren't too far apart, okay? After these two calls, gentlemen, okay, come pause and engage. There will be a gap between these two calls, so don't double guess what I say, okay? I want to see you engage on the E of engage, okay? On the hit then, gentlemen, okay, if you can hit up, okay, and bind deep and bind early. And let's keep that scrum square and stationary until that ball comes in. Okay, scrum halves. Once the scrum is square and stationary, okay, let's have the ball in quickly and let's have it down straight. Happy? Okay.
The starting point is to understand the individual body shape required of all participants. Players must adopt and maintain a strong and stable body position. Feet approximately shoulder width apart. Bend at the knees and hips. Keep head and shoulders above hips at all times. Ensure that feet, hips and shoulders are square. Keep a straight flat back with spine in line with the direction of drive. Keep chin off chest and look through eyebrows. Remain stable, balanced and comfortable in the crouch position. Getting the timing, binding and posture right throughout the scrum engagement sequence are key principles of competitive and safe scrummaging. To introduce the scrum to new players and to improve technique in a safer manner, it is best to use progressions. Scrum machines are good for improving technique in a safe environment. Start with individual body shape practices, then move to machine and live practices 1v1, 3v3, 5v5 and 8v8. All of these practices should preferably be conducted under the control of a referee.